Hey guys, what's going on? This is Brad from the Ad Army, and today, as you could tell, I have a quick little engine you guys can use, and I didn't want to talk about this in a video just because I think it's a little bit interesting, but also gives you an idea of how you can start using a little bit more of BT 2.0 here for you guys here in the West. But before I get into it, as always, remember to, and I ask you of a little request, to like, subscribe, and comment down below, and let me know what your favorite card is out of BT 2.0, and also just join the Ad Army because it helps out and we keep on getting to make great content for you as long as you keep on joining because it does help out. Now, let's just jump straight into it. Now, there's a lot of things surrounding this, and I want to talk about it as like a small engine, but the reason why is I think for a lot of the Unified Spirits deck, it didn't really do too well converted-wise in the Japan or OCG originally, because I think this deck was a little bit too strange than what they wanted it to do, although I think they designed it pretty well for what they attempted the deck to function as. But for today, I'm going to be talking about how you can use some of these engines from the strategy. Now, we already know about the Purple Hybrid engine, so I'm not going to talk about it in this video because this is already something people are talking about. This is actually an engine that I realized is available for a lot of the decks that I've been looking at in terms of like blue as well as like trashing strategies, because I realized that when looking at Kumamon and Korikakumon again, they actually possess the Ice Snow trait as well as Daipenmon, which has been added thanks to Liberators. And it started making me think about, well, what is this actually going to do when we start to actually apply this Ice Snow trait to all of this strategy? And I actually found a very interesting combination of cards you can use to explain how you can use these cards in actual decks, not just in the hybrid deck. So let's just jump into how we're supposed to do this. So starting off, we have to look at what cards we're going to be functionally using for this little combo as well as an engine in your deck. So the engine actually does two things specifically. First, what the engine is designed around is utilizing your tamers in the form of Tommy-Himi to allow you to functionally just disable your Digimon as people used to do in BT7. This is important because Tommy's effect lets you trash 3 Digi-Evolution cards, and that's a lot, but then when attacking through his Inheritable, it allows you until the end of your opponent's turn, one of your opponent's Digimon with no Digi-Evolution cards can't attack or block. Now, this effect somewhat has been thought of as being reduced to not being effective as Tommy went from 1 to 4 again, so you can play this tamer as much as you'd like. However, I think in hybrid decks as well as in generic decks that maybe want to run a specific engine, Tommy actually has a new usage thanks to the brand new Korikakumon and Kumamon. Now, if you're wondering how this is supposed to work, we have to look at what Kumamon does from 2.0. And obviously, if you want to check out what these cards do, I also have a What's the Scoop that focus on all the hybrids that are combined into their spirits. So if you want to check that video out, go ahead. Shamelessly plug in here, but it would allow you to see how all the other cards as well, for their information, you can check it out. But talking about Kumamon from BT 2.0 here, we have it. It can Digivolve specifically on top of Tommy for 2, Korikakumon for a cost of 0, and it can Digivolve on top generically blue or red level 3s for a cost of 3. So because it is a dual color. But the most important factor is what it does. When on Digivolving, you get to trash the 2 bottom Digi-Evolution cards of one of your opponent's Digimon. Additionally, for its when attacking effect once per turn, one of your Digimon or Tamers may Digivolve into a blue or red Digimon with the hybrid trait in the hand with the Digi-Evolution cost reduced by 1. And we also have it being treated as an Ice Snow trait, so it's very important. But additionally, all turns, when this Digimon would leave the battle area, other than by your effects, you may play one Tamer card with inherited effects from this Digimon's Digi-Evolution cards without paying the cost. Okay, so starting off, Kumamon is absolutely cool, but when paired with Korikakumon, this will start to make a lot more sense. So Korikakumon is, at least from BT 2.0, a bit different because it costs 4 to Digivolve from level 3, which is massive. But more importantly, it can Digivolve on top of Tommy for a cost of 3, and can Digivolve on top of Kumamon for a cost of 1. It carries jamming inherently, and on play or when Digivolving until the end of your opponent's turn, one of their Digimon with no Digi-Evolution cards can't suspend. Additionally, it carries the Ice Snow trait, and its inheritable is jamming. Now, the way that this engine is supposed to function in the deck after I've talked about this is simple. What you're going to want to do is to have BT7 Tommy in play, using his effect to trash the materials off of one of your opponent's Digimon. Effectively, if you're trashing 3, you're usually trashing all the sources off of something, unless it's like a level 6 or 7, but that's usually in the late game. If we're talking about it in the starting or mid or like beginning of the game, you're probably going to trash all the sources. So what you want to do with, proper setup, because this does have some setup, but it is an engine, what you're going to do after you get this active is Digivolve Tommy into Kumamon. Now, the reason why we Digivolve Tommy to Kumamon first is that you want Kumamon, obviously, to have its 2-cost reduction evolution, which is good. But additionally, what you're going to want to do here is that Tommy is going to already have stripped 3. So if you already have, if your opponent has multiple Digimon in play, you're now going to Digivolve them to Kumamon, and Kumamon will allow you to strip 2 sources off of one of your opponent's Digimon. Effectively, usually you'll have like maybe a level 5 or 6 in play with maybe a level 3 to 4 if it's not like a rampant deck. And if it's a rampant deck, then it's going to be helping your playstyle here. But the more important factor here is you're going to trash all the sources off of probably 2 Digimon here. Then what you want to do is you want to go for its when attacking effect. So we actually have a lot of things that are going to take place. But the more important factor you want to have with your when attacking effect is that you're going to declare 2 specific effects. What you want to declare first is Tommy's effect when attacking to stun one of the Digimon you've already stripped. Then what you're going to do is use Kumamon's effect of when attacking next to Digivolve it into Korikakumon for free. And this is important for multiple reasons, but now, once you've already Digivolved into Korikakumon, you now have access to its effects, because this will be now when Digivolving, and then you'll use its effect to stun one of their opponent's Digimon with no DigiOcean cards, which at this point you've probably stripped all the sources off, and you'll stun that, or you'll stun a blocker, so it can't suspend. And now you'll continue your attack, obviously, with jamming. And you'll have performed 1 solid attack. Now you're probably thinking, well, that was a lot of work for doesn't seem like a lot. But you have to look at what this combo actually associates with and what this actually means for the deck. So when we look at what this piece means, as we just look at it, right? The advantage you have now is that when Kumamon is going to effectively turn into Korikakumon, you now have a stack that will inherently give you jamming, and it has an inheritable to recycle Tommy. So if you're playing this in, say, the Ice Snow deck focusing around Hexablaumon, you now have another way to kind of go up into Crispaldramon and give it more defense, where now it's going to not just have to rely on Ice Clad, it can rely on the usage of jamming as well, so you don't have to worry about that issue. Additionally, when your stack does die, or if your opponent removes it, your greatest advantage is that Tommy will be played back out. And the reason this is huge is that once Tommy's replayed, you're going to strip 3 more sources. The whole point of this little engine is to resource loop for this deck and give it the ability to continuously stun your opponent's Digimon, but simultaneously allowing you to recycle this powerhouse combo over and over. Now you're probably wondering, well, how would you recycle the combo? Well, there's a few ways you recycle the combo. Obviously, you reset Tommy, but one of the major advantages of the new hybrids here is that with something like Korikakumon, it will allow you to suspend your opponent's Digimon to keep them stunned down, so that's like the main focus. But the jamming is also a key factor here, as by having this ability to just keep jamming, your entire stacks going forward from 5 and up will carry this inheritable and allow you to keep playing. Kumamon as well is just a fantastic card. So when I'm talking about this deck or this specific engine, there's actually a few decks that this specific strategy can filter into. Now, in terms of its actual hybrid strategy, or the united hybrid strategy, the main focus you want to use with this is obviously just, it's another resource way to deal with your opponent, and it gives you an extra color in the form of blue. But when we look at something like the Hexablaumon that I've mentioned before, as well as the upcoming cards from EX8 in terms of the actual Ice Snow trait continued strategy, we have a lot of different things that can add to the layers, so to speak, of the strategy. So when we're looking at Hexablaumon, I think one of the key factors I want to give here is that you have Ice Clad, which is cool, but sometimes Ice Clad may not be enough. If you can give it jamming, then Ice Clad, although is cool, you don't have to worry about that much. But also, if you look at the when Digivolving effect Hexablaumon, it trashes any 4 from your opponent's Digimon, and then it allows you to basically return one of their opponent's Digimon to the bottom of the deck as long as it has no sources. Effectively, what you want to keep doing is using Tommy in this resource loop to slowly make your opponent's Digimon have no resources, and then when Hexablaumon comes out, it can deal with your opponent's Digimon with its own floodgate effect, but simultaneously allows you to bounce Digimon that maybe you weren't able to trash all the sources off of, say, with just Hexablaumon. This allows the deck to kind of go through this resource loop that I'm talking about, where you're basically using Tommy to constantly come out, blast them down, so to speak, and then allow Hexablaumon to stun them. Now, obviously, what I'm talking about with this strategy is that you can use a few different ways to play it. You can focus more on Ice Snow cards, thankfully, because of the new Blucomon. But additionally, we have a card like Summon Frost here, which allows this strategy to kind of work a bit easier without having to Digivolve on top of your rookies, for instance, and without Tommy. If you're able to effectively, you try to trash the 2 of all of your opponent's Digimon, it doesn't. You just play out the Kumamon, and or you can play out Korikakumon and start building your stack that way. And if you're wondering if this actually makes more sense, it does. It allows this specific type of decks, like these blue trashing strategies, to utilize their cards more efficiently, but also allows the Ice Snow trait cards to actually start to see more of traction. Because I do think Summon Frost having level 4 or lower in its condition to play them without paying the cost was meant on purpose for future cards like this. So like I said, there's a lot of decks you can do with it. That's basically what this engine is supposed to do in this deck. I wanted to make a video on this because I do know from some of my comments, people have been asking for more like TCG related stuff, so they want to see more. I'm going to be doing that, but I'm also going to be doing some other stuff too. Like I said, I have a big project working, but the reason I wanted to say it in this video is that I thought, I looked at these cards and I thought, well, you know what, let me do a video on this because I think people should really give it a shot. It's also a budget engine, so because Kumamon's only like $2, and then Korikakumon's extremely cheap, as well as Tommy is very cheap. So, if you want to play a budget blue deck, this is also an option. But pretty much this is the combo. That's how it works. And I do hope you try to use this engine in one of your decks and tell me if you think this is actually a really cool way to utilize these cards. But as always, this has been Brad from the Ad Army signing off.